Hey guys, it's Danielle, and I wanted to go live for you guys and talk about birds and the cold. So, who's excited about the cold weather tonight? It's definitely not me. I hate the cold. I'm only out here right now because I couldn't be at work. I've got the kids here and they're inside the house, so I must be outside the house. And I have a heater on and a really thick jacket and my scarf. And when I go to bed tonight, I'm gonna have my heated blanket and my space heater and the heat on in my house. And I will still probably be cold. And I'm excited to have all of my high-tech heating devices. The birds are obviously a lot more equipped to deal with the cold weather than I am, but that doesn't mean that there's not a few things we can do to help them out. So I should have went live a little bit earlier before temperatures started dropping, but if you haven't filled up your feeders already, hold on one second. When I'm outside, they want to come outside too. So anyways, if you don't have your feeders full right now, I would recommend going ahead and doing that before it gets dark outside. I know it's cold and a little drizzly out here, but tomorrow morning when it's probably around 30, 32 degrees, it's not going to be any more enjoyable to be outside filling your feeders. So make sure that you go ahead and make sure that your feeders are full. It did rain a little bit today, or a lot of it, depending on where you are at. So give your feeders a little shake. Just shake them to loosen up that seed and make sure that it's not clumped up in there. Honestly, you're probably going to see a ton of birds at your feeders tomorrow morning, and there probably won't be any issues with clumping after this rainstorm. But I don't know if you guys noticed, but we had a lot of extra activity on our bird feeders today. The birds can kind of tell that this cold front's coming in, and I know that at our feeders we had a lot more activity. The birds are made to deal with this kind of cool weather, but this is kind of an early freeze for our area, and most of our birds are used to the temperatures that they normally are this time of year, which is not quite dropping below freezing yet. So even though they're equipped to deal with it, some of them haven't quite prepared yet, so there's always things we can do to help our feathered friends out. Again, like I said, you'll see a lot of extra activity at your feeders. You might see them switching from the seed over to suet. So if you haven't had a suet feeder out in a while, now would be the time to get one out there. They were all over suet cylinders today. And if it's been a while since you've tried suet, I just want to remind you guys that we have a really awesome new suet product called Super Suet. It's the highest fat, highest protein suet that we've ever had in the store. And it's funny, the birds can really tell a difference in a higher quality food source and a lower quality food source. So you'll probably get more activity on your feeders if you have that higher quality food source. So definitely give our Super Suet a try. This time of year, they do need that extra fat and extra protein, but in addition to eating, you might notice a few funny bird behaviors. So if you see your birds first thing in the morning and it's really cold, you might notice them puff up their feathers. They might seem kind of fat or a little frozen, and they are chilly. They puff up their feathers to create air pockets, which help them stay warm when the temperatures really start to drop. So it's nothing to be alarmed of. It's a normal behavior. Another thing they do is kind of shiver just like we do. Their body temperatures are actually a little bit higher than ours are, and so the cold weather really feels extra chilly to them. So you might notice them puffing their feathers up. They might seem fat, and you might also notice them shivering, which are all normal behaviors. When the temperatures drop, we all sort of think about the food. They need the food and all that stuff, which is true, but they also really appreciate a nice, fresh, clean water source. So you want to make sure that your bird baths are full, which they should be now, it just rained. But tomorrow, if you can stand the cold, to go out there and pour a little bit of warm water into your bird bath, just enough to break up any ice that maybe formed on the top layer and just warm it up just a little bit, nothing too hot. You will get so much activity at your bird bath. The winter time is when we really hear people seeing some of the coolest birds visiting their bird baths. Lots of robins, like they'll come in flocks sometimes, a lot of bluebirds, which we do see them in your yard, but you'll see even more at your bird bath when it's cold outside. So in addition to drinking water, they use the bird baths to clean their feathers. And clean feathers mean healthy feathers, and healthy feathers help birds stay warm. So do not forget about your bird baths in the wintertime, especially when temperatures drop below freezing, because they really need to make sure that they're taking care of their feathers this time of year so that they can stay warm during cold nights. So make sure that your bird baths are fresh and clean. If you can stand it, pour a little bit of hot water in there tomorrow. They will really appreciate you for that. And then one other thing I wanted to mention is to keep your bird houses up or put one out. Shelter is a really important thing as the temperatures drop. We have a few Carolina wrens that have found a way to sneak into our screen porch, and I was going to go out there to do the video, but there was already 2 Carolina wrens hiding out on the porch. They don't duck in there unless the weather is really windy or getting really cold. So my little wren friends are back, and they're trying to stay warm in our screened porch. But honestly, that's why we usually recommend keeping your bird houses up all year, making sure that you clean them out after nesting season. So usually around, July or August is a really safe time to go ahead and pull those nests out, brush it out, clean it if you weren't monitoring them, and then put them back out there for cold nights like tonight. And you might notice the birds going in and out of those bird houses. Even when it's not cold this time of year, they're actually still looking for their nesting spots for next year and just kind of scoping out territories while they have the time. It's not like they're moving in anytime soon, but they will still be looking for their nesting territories right now. So we like to keep ours up year round as long as it's not too much maintenance to keep them up. Anyways, you may notice a few of the birds piling in there together. We used to sell these little roosting pockets, and we still do, actually. And we had a really cool customer come in, and she was telling us that one cold night she counted 12 little wren tails sticking out of her roosting pocket, which I thought was really cool, but it also shows how they kind of group together to stay warm, and it also shows how important those little roosting pockets or your birdhouse can be when it's cold. If you remember our post when we had our Hurricane Dorian come through, I think that was the one. Yeah, but we took pictures of we sent you guys a picture of a lot of little birds on the windowsill and under the eaves of people's houses. A few of y'all shared your pictures, and that was a lot of fun, so thank you for sharing those. But you might also notice that the birds that were hiding in those particular spots during the hurricane will also hide out and hunker down in those spots during cold weather as well. So if you already have your Christmas wreath up, which no shame if you do, we already have our tree up, but we still have our fall wreath on the front door because we're trying to hide our crazy. So you might notice wrens or even cardinals kind of perched up in there on the wreath in your front door when the temperatures drop below freezing as well. If you have time, tomorrow is going to be a great day to watch your feeders. All the birds are going to be recovering from the cold, and this cold front isn't just coming to us, it's coming kind of across the country and hitting a lot of states who are going to get it worse than we are. I mean, we're barely going to drop below freezing, but our friends up north who are going to get all that snow and ice, it's going to push some of our winter birds down this way. So sometimes after an early freeze like this is when we see our first sighting of some of our winter birds. So I've already had a few reports of orioles and yellow-rumped warblers, and some people have kept them since the very first one they saw, and then other people saw them come and then quit coming. They probably migrated farther south. After this cold front that comes through tonight, we'll probably see another influx of birds that are migrating south. So keep an eye out tomorrow for your orioles. Lots of yellow-rumped warblers, probably. We may see our first goldfinches sometime this week with this cold front pushing them down this way. You can look for chipping sparrows, white-throated sparrows, song sparrows, and last year we got super lucky and we even got some juncos, pine siskins, and purple finches, which are not super common, but it always depends on the year, the food source available up north, and kind of the weather too. So if you have time to watch your feeders tomorrow, you will probably see some pretty cool things. It'd also be a great time to pull out your camera and go out and try and get some pictures too, because they're going to be really active out there trying to refuel from the chilly night that we're going to have tonight into tomorrow. So in really, really freezing cold areas where the temperatures really drop, birds can lose up to 10% of their body weight just overnight. So it's probably not going to Hi, Vicky. It's probably not going to happen that way tonight because, you know, the birds are equipped to deal with it. We're only supposed to get to 29, but they still do use up a lot of energy staying warm, puffing up those feathers and shivering to keep their body weight or their body temperature up. So, that's about it. I wanted to let you guys know about your food sources. Just make sure they're full and clean. Using high-fat, high-protein bird food is best. Right now, it's this time of year. Obviously, we have all that at the store. Our winter blend and our winter super blend are both in stock right now. And then don't forget about your bird baths and your bird houses too. If you didn't sweep your nest out from the summer and you have time to do that tonight, you might go out there and do that real quick so maybe your birds have a place to chill out as it gets cold and hunker down with their friends. And then don't forget to look for those winter visitors tomorrow and see if you see any cool new activity on your feeders. And I think that's all I was going to mention, but let me double check. Yeah, that's about it. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope that kind of helps you. Our feathered friends can definitely deal with this cold a lot better than me. I can't stand it, but there are things that we can do to help. So hopefully those are some few tips that can help your feathered friends get through tonight, but also the below freezing nights that we'll have in the future this year. All right, thanks guys. Stay warm.